Okay, I'm Simon Maceda, and I'm talking about Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. Let's go. Okay, so my story is actually 6 stories. It's basically like 6 stories all next to each other, and they all span from like colonial, like Australian people to like in the far future. So basically what my author David Mitchell's trying to say is, in all these points in time, there are characters who assume the same roles, and basically that like humanity and human nature repeats itself, even though we sort of have this idea that like, oh, times that came before us are probably way worse. We need to wake up and recognize that that's not true. There might be darker times ahead. Unless we fix ourselves, I guess. Okay, so the first one is there's this inherent good versus evil going on in the world, and most of it has to do with the exploitation of like one group of people or one individual exploiting another group of people. The evil people that are like, there kind of are just evil people in the story, I'm not gonna lie. So it's like, the idea is that in every generation there are some of these people, and the idea is that they're willing to exploit others in order to gain like power and material for themselves. A big part of this is actually taking away freedom and the free will of others, which is like an example of this would be in like the first story. They're these Australian guys, and they're sailing into all these Pacific islands, and it's basically just showing how racist they are against all the natives. And at one point, it's like they come to this island where all the natives are working like really hard, and they're just smoking tobacco, and the Australian guys aren't actually paying them at all. And the protagonist is like, what's going on here? And they're basically like, oh, we just got him hooked on tobacco, and then we just told him that's what we would give him to work. So it's basically like their willingness to take away like the individuality of others in order to like benefit themselves. As far as the good people that come across in every time and setting, they're the ones who are trying to end exploitation, and they recognize that every person like deserves to be free, and that we're all inherently equal. And also there's this overlying idea that the good always win out, so it's a positive book. Okay, another theme of the book is truth. And that there is an absolute truth that regardless of what time you're in, everybody deserves to have free will, and human nature is inherently like positive and good, and those are the 2 basic truths in this book. And another thing that it really like highlights is that these exploiters, these bad people, they're willing to change the truth and switch it up so much that you don't even know what's going on. Therefore, they can like take advantage of deception and exploit further. Lastly, there's this idea of recurrence of events in this book. Every protagonist, with the exception of one, has this comet birthmark in the story, and that if the idea is that they're reincarnated, so like each protagonist, regardless of like the time that they're in, is trying to fulfill the same role and like do the same thing. They're clearly reincarnated in the story, but I was reading, like as I was writing my paper, that the author is just like, no, I don't believe in reincarnation, so that's not really what he's going for, I guess, but it's more of the idea that like, you know, throughout time, human nature stays the same. Let's see what else. Yeah. Free will is an important part of the human existence, and there will always be people willing to take that away, but we need to be willing to stop them. That's basically it.
Beautiful. Yeah.